the shooting range. In this episode, the update 1.85 is here. It's time to remember the origins of the first air-to-air missiles. We're unpacking our luggage at the newest location, Vietnam Hills. Hotline, the developers answer questions that you've left in the comments. But first, let's start with the Semovente, the deadliest dachshund of them all. Ladies and gentlemen, let's greet our newest recruit, the Semovente 10525 M43, also known as the Bassotto or the Dachshund, thanks to the machine's dimensions. This vehicle was a part of the update 1.85 pre-order packages, but now you can also purchase it in the store. The Semovente sits at the third rank with a battle rating of 3.3. It has a low profile, which helps with taking cover behind the terrain and fighting between buildings on its home turf, the Italian map. This little dachshund is armed with the L25 105mm cannon, not bad for such a battle rating, and the elevation angles are quite pleasant as well, from -10 to 16 degrees. However, reloading speed probably won't get your spirits too high. After each shot, you're in for a whole 10 seconds of unnerving waiting. On the flip side, the explosive payload of each shell is beyond insane. If you breach enemy armor, you'll definitely eliminate them. Your APC shells can penetrate up to 64mm of armor. Not what we'd call a terrifying firepower, but it'll be enough for some T-34s and whatnot. Against tougher targets, you can use heat shells with a payload equal to 2 kilograms of TNT. The penetration rate of 120mm will ravage anything unlucky enough to stand in the shell's way. It's all fine and dandy, but the defense of this self-propelled gun doesn't guarantee any survivability for its skeleton crew of 3 men. 75mm thick glacis plates are placed at 90 degrees angle and won't protect you against the majority of armaments at this battle rating. Good angling and wiggling is nearly mandatory if you wish to survive. However, you don't have much of a breathing room even if you angle properly. Your sides are covered with only 40mm of armor. The defenses are not exactly stellar, on that we agree. Your mobility, however, is a definite better. The vehicle accelerates up to its maximum speed of 38 kph quite quickly, even on muddy terrain. The standing turn is decent too. You'll be difficult pursuer to escape from. Overall, at its core, the Semovente is an analogue of the German Stu H. It does not match its German brother's defense, but it compensates this flaw with better dynamics and deadlier shells. In addition, the Semovente doesn't have that annoying commander's cupola, which, to your enemies, often looks like waving a red rag at a bull. So, how do you play on this thing? Well, on the one hand, your armor slopes force you into searching for a position which will somewhat bolster your chances of survival. Don't even think about charging straight into battle. It would be a pure death wish. On the other hand, an experienced enemy probably won't know how to deal with you if you angle his shots. Other than that, the Semovente is decent. It's like a working man's self-propelled gun. The armor is thin, but at least it exists. The mobility is nice, and the main cannon is powerful. Pick your fights, think about positioning, and utilize your firepower to its fullest potential. See you on the battlefield! And now, while you're busy mastering guided air-to-air missiles, let's see how they came into existence. The first rockets of this type were created in a way similar to how first guided bombs emerged. Humans dreamed about a homing projectile like that for centuries and began making their dream into reality as soon as technological progress allowed them to. However, there was a tiny little hitch when it came to designing guided air-to-air missiles. The task proved to be literally impossible. Engineers, for the life of them, couldn't find a way to, well, actually guide the missile. First, Max Kramer suggested guiding the rocket by wired communication. He developed the Ruhrstahl X4 in the beginning of 1943. This, however, brought up an entirely different issue. How would the pilot concentrate on his or her job while guiding the missile and watching its target simultaneously? Could a twin-engine plane with an operator on board solve this problem? No way. The machines of this kind are an easy prey for enemy fighters. Another German development, the Henschel 293 glide bomb, used either TV or radio signals for guidance. Unfortunately, neither of those could do the trick. Such systems were suitable for hitting large lumbering ships, not the small, slippery, constantly maneuvering aircraft. After that idea was scrapped, it was time to try the homing heads and active radar homing. That was a step in the right direction, but due to the size and the weight of that era's electronics, the end product missile wound up being almost bigger than some planes. And it was truly gargantuan, because it needed to be stuffed not only with explosive payload, but also with a fully functioning airborne interception radar and a decision circuit. And all that weight could only be propelled through the air by an equally gargantuan, powerful rocket engine. For a long time, due to the sheer weight of the aforementioned contraption, the active homing heads were considered not suitable for air-to-air missiles, despite showing stellar results in the first guided anti-ship bombs and winged missiles like the American Bat. The engineers, however, refused to throw in the towel and continued to experiment with the tech. Thankfully, they found a somewhat unorthodox way, guiding the missile with a semi-active homing head. The AI radar on the attacking plane intensely irradiated the target plane, and the launched rocket received the deflected signal, rapidly closing in on the target. Of course, this method was neither risk-proof nor risk-free. Firstly, the pilot would need to keep the target in a narrow cone of directed radio beam right until the very last moment. What if there are somehow two planes in the cone? What if, for example, something in the background of the plane could reflect radio emissions? What if the enemy pilot spreads a cloud of tin foil, effectively blinding the whole homing system? Or, how about this? The enemy could just evade the missile. Anyway, only the semi-active homing system promised at least acceptable odds of hitting the target. That's why the British Artemis project focused on that technology. It was the first attempt ever to create an anti-air guided missile. Moreover, it was the first ever anti-missile missile. The Brits wanted to use their creation to counter the guided V-1 missiles. Boy, that's a lot of missiles in one sentence. Sadly, the Artemis never saw the light of day. It was too expensive and sophisticated to manufacture. A similar fate also befell a similar project of American origins, the JB-3 Tiamat. The wealthy Yankees managed to actually launch it, but stopped the development in 1947 in order to concentrate on more aerodynamic missiles. The AAM-A1 Firebird, for example. After the war, the Soviets followed their lead, developing the K-5 air-to-air missile and its successors, the K-6 and the K-7, all based on the semi-active homing heads. France also was not lagging too far behind. A company by the name of Metra experimented with their in-house developed M04. But alas, all these missiles were just too heavy and too costly to manufacture, while offering a less than ideal performance in return. The breakthrough came unnoticed at first. The Americans, who were shortly after joined by the English, devised a way to guide the missile onto a strong source of infrared radiation, none other than the hot exhaust of a jet engine. That's where the projects like the Sidewinder and the Firestreak began, shaping the whole conception of guided air-to-air missile armaments for many years to come, and we will talk about them some more in the upcoming episodes. And now, let's take a look at another new thing from the 1.85 update, the Vietnam map. For a long time you've been asking us in the comments to make a map that's somehow tied to Vietnam. Well, here you go. This map for ground battles is inspired by the Vietnamese city of Hoi An and its surroundings. This place is 4 by 4 kilometers large, and we can pinpoint 3 main areas. There are mountains by the north, jagged and rough, full of deep crevices. It's unbelievably easy to fall for an ambush in there. However, if you make it through, you can climb the serpentine to the plateau. Hey, get a grip. It's not the time nor the place to relax. The fights at the plateau are outright cutthroat. There's almost no space for maneuvering, so full frontal attacks and tough frontal armor are crucial. If you're playing on a light or a medium machine, it's best just to avoid the plateau slaughterhouse. You've plenty of things to do elsewhere. For example, motor to the center of the map. It's difficult for heavy juggernauts to power through thick, treacherous marshes, but light tanks should feel right at home. There, you can constantly maneuver under the veil of dense vegetation. If heavier tanks bullied you off the plateau, it's a perfect place to avenge yourself by flanking the behemoths. Although, don't let it go to your head. The marshes slow down everyone, including yourself. And if you get noticed from above, you can be sure that things will take a sharp turn from bad to much worse. The southern part of the map is where the urban combat takes place. The battles are raging on the streets of a small but densely packed harbor town. Yeah, the shootouts will rightfully distract you from sightseeing, but you really should at least try to take a moment and appreciate the view. If not the Vietnamese architecture, then at least rocks by the shoreline. Sea, vacation, beaches... where were we? Oh, yeah, the map. Big battles in the center of the map will quickly fracture and disperse all around the town, filling every little nook and cranny with small firefights. But in this situation, the light vehicles are not so defenseless as they were at the northern plateau. Use the outskirts of the town, use flanking maneuvers. True, there's almost no cover, but you can gain significantly more speed than on the marshes. Good luck, tankers. You'll need it. Get ready for the traditional last part of our show, Hotline. Developers answering questions from the comments. The first question comes from a user called Exec. British helicopters? Sure, mate. Not in the nearest future, but we wouldn't introduce the helicopters at all if we wouldn't want to eventually give them to all nations. Then there is another message coming from Commander Chase. Italian tanks before Supersonic. Well, what if you wouldn't have to choose or wait? It's all in the game already. Close YouTube and go celebrate it with some explosions and high-speed dogfights. Oh, no, wait. First, finish watching this video and don't forget to like it and subscribe to our channel. Next, is this request from Juan Pablo Manotas. We want the video of the Supersonic planes and the premium jet. Hi there, mate. We're gonna make a lot of them in the coming episodes of The Shooting Range. And the last very serious message is from Gaming Saba Saba. Can the next update to be called the Pizza Time? Sorry, mate. It's already out as it is. You gotta think of something else to put this label on. That's it for today, but feel free to write your questions in the comments below. We do read them all, and you might see some of them answered in the next episode. If you like what we're doing, don't forget to subscribe, as we said above, to our channel. See you on the shooting range.